He is the founder and a college counselor at College Torch, which is an educational business where he works directly with families to help guide their choices and the students' choice, and the challenges that are unique really to the LGBTQIA plus students when they are in the college process, whether it's applications, what to choose from, what to think about, what are some of the things that may change that maybe weren't available a few years ago or weren't as necessary through the lens of a more mainstream cisgender or heterosexual search and application to a college process. And so he's really founded his organization to be able to support people, educate them, and do that in a way where their college search will be fruitful for them and where they'll thrive, where they'll end up going and they'll thrive. He also ensures that it's done with integrity. Integrity is a huge part of the type of work that Robert does, and it's really who he is as a person. He's a member of Higher Education Consultants Association, as well as a member of the National Association for College Admissions Counseling. And outside of all of his College Torch work, Robert's really involved with his community as a vice president of his local Kiwanis Club. And I'm so glad that you accepted our invitation and could make time to be with us tonight, Robert. So we really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Isabel. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm really excited to chat with everybody today about a topic that I love talking about. I love talking about students' journeys to college, but this is especially close to my heart. Students all face unique challenges, but in this room, we know that that LGBTQ students, students who are gender non-binary, they face especially unique challenges, and they may be facing challenges that they don't understand, that they can't identify. And so as mentors, guides, parents, adults, and people who care, we can educate ourselves in order to help them, which is a wonderful thing. Today, we're going to be talking primarily about college search, not about college applications. I know all about college applications, and that's a topic for another day. I really want to talk about, from a student's perspective, how can they find their best campus? We'll also talk a little bit about what parents can do to support. And there are inevitably some overlapping topics, other people's specialties out there that come up for LGBTQ students because things can get complicated and we need specialties and specialties and specialties. But I hope to at least point out what some of those areas are that we should be thinking about. And I'll tell you what I can within my expertise. I also want to answer your questions, and we'll do that at the end of the session. The quick thing about me is that I'm a college consultant. You heard all about it already. I'm an expert both in colleges and the college admissions process. I don't ever just do one of those things. I know the colleges themselves. I fly around the country to show up at college campuses, meet students, meet admissions reps, learn about things that are changing, things that are happening. On a totally different side of the experience, I'm helping with the admissions process and college applications. And very importantly, I work with families directly. This is important to know because I do not have any vested interest in my family's going to a certain college. The only people who would ever pay me would be a family. And so I don't get paid by high schools or by colleges or by anybody. So when you're talking to me, you really know that you're getting my totally non-biased guidance. This is my philosophy. I think we should all have a philosophy, and this is mine. I'm the options guy. I want to make sure that students have that they know their different options, and I would love to help expand their options where I can and when I have, um, where I can and when it makes sense. So let's look a little bit closer at gender expansive students and their experience. I think in their college search that there are these 5 Ps that they can look at. It's the same for, I would say the same thing to all LGBTQ students, but this presentation is going to be in the details a bit more focused towards the gender expansive students. So 5 Ps, we've got our people, places, policies, personal experience, and lastly, pride. Let's start with people. It seems probably pretty obvious at first, but if you are a gender non-binary student, you would probably really like to be at a college with other people like you, other people who get you, other people who you can trust and confide in, and and um, and maybe you want a lot of those students, and maybe you want a certain kind of those students, a certain kind of personality, a certain kind of presence, and so I mean to say that this is sort of a spectrum that going to find the school with the most gender non-binary or LGBTQ students is probably not the way to go about it. Who are these students and how easy are they to find? Do you know where to find them? How do they have fun? Do they have fun the same way that you want to have fun? Where do you imagine yourself spending time with them, and what are you doing? And I think that the best way to figure out whether this is right is to talk to students. Number one way to learn about a college is talk to current students who are there. With the quantity part of our students, I think it's I always want to encourage families to consider the small schools as well as the big schools. I talk to um, parents of gender non-binary students, and they're often thinking of big schools for their child. And why? And it's just because with that many people think, we have to have our people there somewhere. Well, there's of course the drawback of that if you have thousands and thousands of people on campus, is it going to be as easy to find your people? And I've heard the flip side. So at small schools that are in California, very progressive, I've heard that out students can't find enough people like them, even in very open-minded places. And yet I can think of small schools right now on the top of my head where even more than 50% of students may be non-straight students, self-identifying, which is really cool. You could end up at 3,000 students is a small school, but I'm thinking of one in Florida of all places with 800 students, and half of them self-identify as non-straight, which is really cool. So we just need to be brave with our college search, check all of the different places, talk to students, and make sure that our people are there. If we have a school with the perfect program at the perfect price, and the best internship, I'm not sure what that would be like without the people. In addition to students, we really want to make sure that we have our LGBTQ faculty, that a school without any out LGBTQ faculty is that could be a red flag. So, and not just the faculty, but also the staff. So especially, of course, the leader of the LGBTQ Center. We want to know who our mentors are that we can look up to and see that we really have a supportive culture on campus with the people in place. Um, I think that this one is just an idea, is progressive culture. I imagine that most of us in this room imagine that if we were going to college, or if our LGBTQ teens were going to college, that it would be a very progressive place and the most progressive state. I think that a progressive culture is important, that being around people who share our values is important, but um, that this may not need to be a hard and fast requirement at the farthest left version of itself. So um, that's to say we want the progressive culture, but we may want to consider um, diversity of thought. Does everybody think exactly the same? If so, do we like that? Because that could be good. Or were we imagining different people from different places, which is just something to think about. What is the culture? Who are the people? And is this going to be safe and supportive for us, both personally, also academically? And does it have what we need? So the next one is places, kind of bouncing off of that. That last one about the progressive culture. There are some wonderful, very wonderful colleges that are great places for LGBTQ students that are in red states. And that question comes up a lot. And I don't know where to put that in the presentation, except for right here in our places, because I don't think that, a lot of students in California who are gender non-binary are probably imagining red states as being their dream destination. That said, they could miss out on some wonderful colleges if they only look at California. By the way, most of the private schools in California are religious in nature anyways, which could have, some of those are good schools and for gender non-binary students, but some of them are not. So we want to keep our options open. And so it was a Kansas State, which is actually a wonderful school for LGBTQ students. I talked to the admissions rep there, who explained that she gets that this is not an ideal state to be in as an LGBTQ student, but she said that she imagines the school as the middle part of a sandwich between the student and state politics. That if you go to a supportive college in a red state, that their promise to you, at least at this school, was that we are your safety net and helping you navigate college life around politics, whatever comes up. So importantly, what she wasn't able to say was that state politics would never affect college life. So yes, this could be a real, because we don't know what the future is. We don't know what those policies are going to be, but also that having a supportive college did that it could make that work, and that they have been thinking about it, which is so important. So on a more zoomed in level, the places, I think that a good fit school for an LGBTQ student is going to have an LGBTQ plus center. And some of the very small ones will say that they can't have a center for literally everything. And I would say, well, then maybe I would just have questions about it. I would have the student really look into all of the other parts of whether they were being supported on campus. Clearly, money is not being put towards this specific thing. But you could also find the LGBTQ center wrapped up in another center. It's great when you have the center because you know exactly where you'll go to for support, and you can check with them before you ever apply. Make sure that that students like the support staff, especially the leader of the center, that this is a full-time person on staff who is always there, thinking about the students, helping the students, creating a great environment, and ideally visit in person. Make sure this is someplace you want to hang out, that you want to be involved, that you like the people there, and that you want to go. We want active organizations on campus for LGBTQ students, at least one, but ideally more, because we could have intersectional organizations, for example, students who are gender expansive and Black. Could they have a group that's just for themselves because they have a unique experience? And of course, bigger schools are going to have more organizations. Just make sure it's proportional, and that of the organizations that you have, the one that you will join. Housing. This is the number one thing my gender non-binary students ask me about during the college search is, where am I going to be living and what's that going to be like? So I think it's wonderful when a university has dedicated housing for LGBTQ students. It could be a floor, or it could be something different, but it shows that they've thought about it, and that they're working towards creating a great space. The San Diego State has living learning communities where it's sort of like an LGBTQ floor, but it's that students have they volunteered to be part of this community, and it's like they have their own residence community. And of course, the bathroom conversation is going to come up, and students should make sure that the college is supporting them with the spaces that they need. Lastly, in this section, some students care a lot about off-campus opportunities, and some students can do everything on campus. So we just checked with the student about what their vision of college is, but you can have part of a student's education, growing into a member of the LGBTQ community, can happen very, very authentically off campus, and that finding real people in the real world can be a good part of a student's journey, in a way that just the students hanging out on campus may not be able to provide. They just have different experiences and perspectives. So I think that when students tell me that it's really important that they go to a city, I always want to know why that is, because do they imagine having certain experiences, meeting certain people, or are they really just worried that a small town is going to be a dangerous place, in which case that's something else. Policies, we want to, I think that colleges, often you can figure out what they care about by what they spend money on. So, and also what they'll put in writing. So we're looking for visible signs that they've spent money on things, and language written down places that shows us that they care. And if things, if we ever have needs on campus as gender non-binary students, that we're going to have a supportive administration, basically. So the inclusive restrooms are more than just, of course, a place to go. They're also indicative of the university's stance on issues, and how far they've come along with changing thoughts. So I think that this is so in the mainstream conversation that a college doesn't have a great excuse to get this wrong. So it's just sort of a good barometer, and a first red flag. Of course, the real reality, one bathroom may not change a college decision, but what is the messaging here? And I bet where you find one gopher, you're going to find 10 gophers. So it's just part of the search. We check it out. Mission statements. So it takes us 5 seconds to read a college mission statement or a center mission statement, but those centers or the colleges spend a really long time, meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings, writing mission statements. Uh, did they get us in there anywhere, like LGBTQ? Um, do they say transgender? I mean, where can we find words that show us that they're thinking about us, and that they are planning to protect our students? I think that this is so easy that we should be able to use a preferred name in different places. And if the college is always filling in, like auto-filling things and making that difficult, that's not good. And so student experiences can tell about this. Have students have they had trouble with their preferred name, or other document things like, can we change the gender upon request, or do we only have the 2 options of gender? What are they allowing and what are they limiting? Lastly, insurance coverage is less of a topic since the Obama stuff. Now, our first-time freshmen coming out of high school are generally just going to be in parents' insurance coverage. But older students may choose to get insurance from the college, and it is always an option to get the insurance from the college. Well, do they provide these important services? Students should be thinking about their personal experience on campus as well. Their health, the health center, can they be seen? How fast can they be seen? And also we can look about their attitudes on sexual health. Is contraception available, or education about STDs, and how do they treat that? Do they treat this in a positive way or in a different way? Counseling services are always rough at colleges because they're very expensive, and it's actually kind of a big ask to want really high touch counseling from the college. I always recommend families to have their own therapist or counselor or other professional available that they really trust and have access to through Zoom, or in the place where the college is. We want that right feeling, and that's what pride is. So, we can have all of the boxes checked, and Campus Pride Index, which is a wonderful website, has all of the boxes, and you can see where they're checked. But I think that's such a magical feeling when you arrive on a campus and you can tell that you can be yourself. You can feel it, it, and you see all the things that you need to see. You see the flags, you see the safe space, you see the colors, and you see the people, and you just you kind of want to bubble up, and that's really magical. And I want my students to be searching for that feeling, because when they have that, that's not a fuzzy nothing. That's a really big thing. We want students to also be safe. So do the research. If you Google any college and the word Clary Act, this is a requirement for them to publish the safety data. But we can have everything with a thorough college search. We can find colleges where we can be safe and where we can be happy. Don't forget to check out all of the other things about the college search. Where are you going to be? How much does it cost? What are you going to study? And what does that have to do with your next steps? And should we disclose? This is sometimes a question. Disclose LGBT or disclose something else? I would say yes, but importantly, the students don't have to. So if they're feeling weird about it, they do not need to say it. And nobody needs to write an essay about anything, but especially not this. Our students are wonderful individuals with diverse experiences, and they care about a lot of things, and they are a lot of things. And they may well want to write their essay, their comment at personal statement about something else. And I always encourage that. Just whatever's their story is what's important. if students are burdened during the college application process, they should always know that there are so many test optional schools. Nobody should be rushing to take the SAT if it is a burden. And how can parents help? They need to strike a balance. So it we you know we care, we want to help, we want to get hands on, and sometimes we're even defensive. We care, it matters so much. So we strike a balance between providing resources, which is the best way to support. What can I give you to let you do it yourself? What can I ask to let you talk and have what space can I give you to help you to to have what you need to have? Um, and then also, when students need something, they're not always going to ask for it. And so we're there. That's the best thing we could do, is be there, be listening, and have a yes attitude to enable them to go on this journey to college. Some overlapping topics could be gap years or medical leaves. So this is gap year. So for whatever reason, for many reasons, students may not want to apply to college right out of high school. And that could be a personal reason, which is that is good and fine. Or it could be because they want to do something else. But this journey, not the college journey, but the big journey of self-discovery, figuring out ourselves, it can take us in not a straight line. And I think that's okay. So that's why this comes up. But if there's any way to plan ahead about it, please, please, please apply to the college as a high school senior and then defer the enrollment. So you already have your college plan and then you're just taking a year off, and then you're coming into the college and you don't have to do a difficult application process while you are out of touch with the high school counselor and your teachers, and they've sort of forgotten about you and all of that stuff. So much better to get the college's approval to take a year off and then do anything you want. You'll probably, especially if you have to do an application afterwards, you'll want to be prepared to talk about it. Not that you have to talk about things, but if you are applying to college near the end of a gap year, they'll say, well, what were you doing? What did you get out of it? Why does that make you a better student? So any enriching experience is fine. There are a lot of gap year companies that want to charge for a gap year program, and they're actually, some of them are really good. But also, work experience is golden, or backpacking, or a personal journey of many different varieties. They're all golden and beautiful. And for the medical leave, this you coordinate with the school. The school is going to get it, and if they're not supportive, then go somewhere that is, because health is the first priority. And this stuff is complicated. Financial aid is a really big topic. And of course, in PFLAG, we talk about we've got our supportive parents. Well, if you know any students who are struggling with financial aid because of conflicts with parents, of course, it's not us in this room, but if you know them, they may be able to get a dependency waiver. So they can, through the college, sort of like an appeal, they can apply for them to be considered as independent students. And of course, the financial aid should be generous for their numbers as an independent student. CSS profile is difficult about the parents. They want both of the biological parents, no matter what the situation is a lot of the time. And that provides a challenge for students whose parents are on different sides of an issue. For merit aid, though, merit aid is not often very complicated. A lot of colleges do automatic merit aid. So that's the biggest misconception about scholarships, is people imagine a scholarship application. And there are those. So the Campus Pride Index has a national scholarship database. That's cool. But actually, when you apply to especially private schools, they just kind of calculate and figure out a number to give you based off of what they think you need to see in order to enroll. And you didn't have to write any essays for it or do anything at all. And it's just automatic. Lastly, adult students, they need totally different things than our transfer students and our first-time freshmen. Adult students not only need a safe, happy space, but they need flexibility because they're probably working and probably not thinking about quitting. So you've got online, hybrid, in person, but also maybe daytime doesn't work. Well, if you do a part-time program, are you going to do it at night? So you've got you. So in addition to all of those things we talked about before, you have this really important thing where you're trying to find one that's flexible with scheduling. Also, it's really important that credits transfer. So that's a call to the college, and you show them your transcript and make sure that the work you've already done is going to be considered. And if you don't have something like that, but you do have a lot of work experience, actually colleges can give adult students credit for their work experience. They've got a process for it and they can do it. Some colleges just don't want to do it. So finding a college that will do that could make a big difference. And a lot of adult students are really just trying to um, they're trying to bridge a gap or get something that they didn't get or that they need. And some of them are looking for a residential college experience. Like I didn't go to college and I want to move in and live on campus. And if so, I mean, just think about what that's going to be like and make sure that that's what you're looking for. And then you can do your college search. Do you imagine there being a lot of 18-year-olds, 18 to 22-year-olds on campus? And are those your people? And are they going to make you feel the way that you want to feel? Are you going to fit in? Are you going to have the times that you want to have? Um, and and um, maybe that's not perfect, right? There are some schools where they have a higher percentage of adult learners. So go out and look for those and find them. They're not usually the top 20 glittery colleges that you see in US News and World Report. Those colleges tend to have lots of 18 to 22-year-olds. But there are a lot of amazing, wonderful colleges that do have a high percentage of adult learners on campus. Um, Cool. So here are your resources. Campusprideindex.org has literally everything that you need. It has everything. It's a little bit outdated. I think that they could update it, but we're all busy. So they also do rankings every year. They've got a worst of the worst list for schools that take Title IX exemptions. And every college that applies to be in the Campus Pride Index gets ranked on 8 factors. That's what I meant about the boxes to check. Are they doing this? Are they doing this? So check that out, explore it. And this website, knowyour9.org, helps you with knowing your rights before you get to college, because you never know when you need that information. Here's my information. This on the left is how you can follow College Torch, which is my educational consultancy. So I do a weekly newsletter. You can do that website right there. You can get me on Facebook in that group. I try to post regularly just resources and answer questions in that Facebook group. It is a general Facebook group for parents of students going to college. And I've been thinking about making an LGBTQ students Facebook group. So it's on my mind. So if you're in that group, I will announce it there, and also on my newsletter. And that on the right is my contact information. Do not feel bad to use it. You are not bugging me. I want to answer your questions and hear how I can help.